Homeowners coverage should be guaranteed replacement cost. Circle the word guaranteed there. There's been a big shift in the insurance business with the last couple of hurricanes on this. Most of the majors, most of the name brand homeowners companies have gone away from guaranteed replacement cost. 10, 15 years ago, guaranteed replacement cost was standard with everybody, and hardly any of them carry it now. Guaranteed replacement cost is this. If you take out a $200,000 policy on your $200,000 house, you go along 5 years and the house is now worth $350,000, and you never updated your insurance agent never called you, you never said anything, it covers the whole house. You bought $200,000 worth of coverage, but it covers $350,000. It replaces the house, even if you don't raise the amounts. That's guaranteed replacement cost, and that's the way all homeowners used to be written. And again, hardly anyone writes it that way anymore. Instead, they do what's called extended replacement cost. And what they'll do is they'll take that $200,000 policy and they will extend the coverage only 10% out or 20% out. And so if they extend a $200,000 policy 20% out, that means that house could go up to $240,000 and you never touch your insurance and you're covered. But if that house goes to $350,000 and it burns and you have a $200,000 policy with a 20% kicker on it, then you are going to be short about $110,000 to put that house back together. And you've got a mess on your hands. And the reason they did this was that people weren't coming back in and upping their insurance. Now, a lot of the insurance agents are mad at me because I bring this up, and they say, well, Dave, it's our job to come in and increase the coverage. And I said, yeah, but it's my job to protect the consumer. I'm sitting there with a paid-for, nice house in a market that is escalating and then sometimes gets a little soft and escalates other times, and I don't want to have to sit down once a year and run a dad-blame appraisal on my house just to make sure your insurance that I'm paying you for is covering me. So I want guaranteed replacement cost, not extended replacement cost. My point is to protect you so you know what you've got. If you're going to carry the extended replacement cost, you got to update it once a year. You got to make sure that your coverage is enough to replace your house. So you have to stay very involved and very plugged in.
Renter's insurance is probably what I should have had in my house before it got broke into. But renter's insurance is something that a person that rents a house gets, that the homeowner is not responsible for their stuff, but renter's insurance makes it responsible for them. If someone was to break into their house or a house was to burn down, they would receive their belongings back, cash. So
it's something you can get if you're renting a house.
Renter's insurance is security, a backup plan, money in the nest, whatever, that is to make sure that you're safe and secure and well prepared for anything to go wrong in the house that you're renting, that you don't own.
Did you know that when you rent an apartment or a house, the landlord is not responsible if anything happens to your belongings or if someone gets hurt at your place? It can cost you big bucks if you don't have renter's insurance. What if your apartment catches on fire and not only do you lose your belongings, but your building gets damaged? A friend is injured while helping you move your furniture. Your apartment's broken into and your belongings are stolen. An electrical power surge damages your TV or computer. Unless you can afford to replace all your stuff, pay for the damage to the landlord's building, and pay for someone else's medical bills, you need renter's insurance. Renter's insurance covers all these things. It's one of the most inexpensive insurance policies available and very easy to get. By the way, you also need this if you go to college and live in the dorms.
Umbrella policies are a really good idea. An umbrella liability policy picks up where your homeowners or your auto insurance liability leaves off. So if you carry $500,000, you get in a bad wreck and it's your fault and somebody sues you for more, then the insurance company is going to pay $500,000. After that, if they sue you for another $1 million, it's got to come from you. They're going to bankrupt you, is what they're going to do. But you can get an umbrella that goes over the top of your homeowners and your car and attaches to those $500,000 limits, picks up from there and goes on. And so you can buy an extra $1 million in liability if you're starting to get some assets. If you're starting to really build up your 401k, you got some equity in your house, you're making some good money, you're starting to build some assets, you need to get an umbrella policy. You can buy an extra $1 million of liability in umbrella for around a couple of $100 a year. So it's a deal. It's a really good deal. I carry a $10 million umbrella because I've got a little bit of a fear of the Dave Ramsey factor. You know, I bump into somebody in the car and they go, oh, it's no big deal. And I hand them my license. They go, Dave Ramsey, oh. If you're going to move out and get your first apartment, you need to have renter's insurance. Renter's insurance covers the contents of the renter's apartment. And so if you have a fire and your furniture, your stereo, your clothes, that kind of stuff gets burned up, it replaces your stuff inside the apartment for fire. It also replaces it for theft. And with a $250 deductible, literally $10, $15 a month, you can buy renter's insurance. Never be without renter's insurance, ever, when you're renting an apartment or renting a house. Health insurance, only 59%, that's 6 out of 10 workers in the U.S. have health insurance now furnished at work. Only 59%. Now, how do you save on your health insurance? Just like anything else, you increase your deductible and or your co-insurance amount. So how many of you pay for your own or a portion of your own health insurance right now? Raise your hand. Now, see, it's about half of the room. That's about with the national statistics. And so it's a war we fight. I pay for mine, right? It's a huge battle with the ever-increasing cost. This stuff goes up like a rocket, doesn't it? Say yes. Yes. So we're constantly fighting for ways to keep our costs down on health insurance. Now, one of the ways to do that is to raise your deductible. And so hardly any of us that pay for our own carry a $250 deductible, do we? Most of us carry $1,000 or more in a deductible on that. So you kick that up. Again, if you've got a $10,000 emergency fund, you can afford to do that. Now, a lot of policies are, the co-insurance amount are set up on like 80-20. So after the deductible, the insurance company pays 80% and we pay 20%. Now, you can change that co-insurance amount so you take on a little more risk, they take on a little less. In insurance, anytime you take on more risk and they take on less risk, then what happens to your premiums? They go down because they're taking less risk, we're taking more risk. So if we went from an 80-20 where they pay 80% to a 70-30 where they're only paying 70% and we're paying 30%, they would be taking on less risk. So that'll get your premiums down just like lowering your deductible. That's a good idea. Now, one thing you always want to do is you want to increase your stop loss but never decrease your maximum pay. Now, let me explain what that means. Stop loss is your maximum out of pocket. If you have a $10,000 stop loss, you'd pay your deductible plus your 20% of the 80-20 till you got up to $10,000. After $10,000, they'd pay 100%. Okay? So it's a good idea. You can pick up a little more. If you got a $15,000 emergency fund, you could take a $15,000 or even a $20,000 stop loss as long as they pay 100% after that. See, I'm not worried about the $10,000 or $15,000 or $20,000 event if I've got an emergency fund. What I'm worried about is the $150,000 or $200,000 event, right? You too? Say right. Okay? So if my stop loss, even if I'm going to pay out of pocket up there to $15,000 or $20,000, I can handle that. I'll work my way through that. And after that, they pay 100%. So if you've got a $5,000 stop loss now, you might investigate taking it to a $15,000 if you have a fully funded emergency fund, again, dropping your premiums. But do not let them reduce the maximum pay. The maximum pay is the maximum they'll pay out total. So you get in chemo land, you get in a triple, quadruple bypass thing, and they got $1 million cap on what they'll pay. Everything after $1 million, you are on your own. If they lower that to $500,000, you're on your own. And so that is not a good buy to drop down your maximum that they pay. Always keep that up there at least $1 million. It doesn't save you much to drop that one down. But your first dollars down here, your deductibles and your maximum stop loss, your maximum out of pocket thing, those are good buys and can keep your premiums down. The best thing out there, though, is the new HSA. See if an HSA, a health savings account, will make sense for your specific situation. The HSA, the health savings account, is a tax-sheltered savings account for medical expenses with a high deductible insurance policy. Now let's look at the numbers on this. I pulled these for an actual 30-year-old couple in our area. An actual 30-year-old couple were to buy a major medical health plan. They would be paying about $640 a month. For that, they'd get a $500 deductible with an 80-20 copay. So after they meet their deductible, then the insurance company would pay 80%, the young couple would pay 20% after that. And that's a pretty standard health plan, isn't it? Say yes. Yes. $640 is a lot of money a month, isn't it? Say yes. Yes. Big time. And so the deal is then that we said, okay, what about the HSA? The HSA is only $316 a month, not $640 a month, but it's got a $5,650 deductible. Whoa, big deductible. So you're not trotting down to the doctor with that deductible unless you're just like really feeling like you're not going to make it. You don't want to wander in there and not really have a clue. I mean, doc, I'm just kind of feeling bad. No, you're really sick before you go like this, okay? And after $5,650, the insurance company pays 100%. Now, that's a pretty cool feature right there. So you're taking the first $5,650 worth of risk. After that, they are taking the rest of the risk. So what's the deal? Well, gosh, I'm saving $300 and something a month. That's $3,888 a year difference in those two policies, almost $4,000 that I'm saving. I'm taking $5,000 more risk, so I got to go a little more than a year without many events. So if you've got chronic illness in your family where people are having to go to the doctor for a lot of different things, then you do not want the HSA because you're going to be burning into some big bucks. I mean, you'll burn through the extra $3,000 you're saving pretty quick out of pocket if you're running through $6,000 worth of medical bills a year. But the Ramsey family, we're really a healthy bunch. We hardly ever go to the doc. I mean, it's a big, hairy deal if we go to the doc. So it's been a very good risk for us because we've never met the deductible since we've had our HSA. And the cool thing is this. You get to take the deductible amount and put it, if you want to, up to that $5,650 a year into a savings account and create a tax deduction regardless of your income. I can write this off. This is weird. They just hadn't figured it out yet. They'll take it away from me soon. But you can write off, no matter your income, $5,600 a year, and then I can spend that money in the health savings account on health needs of any kind. So if I go in the doc and I've got to pay the doc, I can pay it out of that account, and I never pay taxes on it if it's spent on health insurance, if it's spent on health needs of some kind. And so it's tax-free health care out of my pocket in a savings account. If I don't use it, it grows without paying taxes on it, tax deferred. And so what we've done is whatever mine or doctor bills we had, we just paid for them, and I just use this thing as another way to save and invest money, tax deferred and tax free. It's a tax break then. But I've got another big, hairy emergency fund over here called an HSA that's really built up over the years. You do $5,000 a year for several years, you got a little bit of money thrown in there, don't you? And you got the extra $5,000 because you're paying $4,000 less. And if you just took the money you were spending already, you can almost fund the thing every year with just what you would have spent. If you were going to spend $640, and on the HSA, you keep spending $640. So here's the way to think about this. Again, if your family is fairly healthy, this makes a lot of sense. Because with Plan 1 there, with the PPO, you send the company $640 a month. Thousands and thousands of dollars a year. If you don't go to the doctor and use the insurance, they keep all the money. In Plan 2, you send them about $3,600 a year. You put the same, about another $4,000 into a savings account. If you don't go to the doctor, you keep the $4,000. I like that plan, okay? And this will also give you an incentive to stay healthy and do healthy things. Really, really, really a good idea.
That was me out there playing ball last week until a freak accident. I was sliding into second base and my foot hit the bag and I broke my ankle. It was a pretty good hit, not a good slide. Good thing I had health insurance. I just got the bill in today. And here's what it would have cost me if I didn't have health insurance. With insurance, all I had to pay was the deductible. After I paid the deductible, everything else on the bill was covered. My only other expense was a $25 copay for the hospital visit. A copay is what you pay at the time of your medical visit. Bottom line, insurance plans vary in coverage. Make sure you understand them so you know what they'll pay for. And always have some type of health insurance, even if it's limited coverage. Harvard University did a study and found that roughly 1/2 of all bankruptcies are caused by illness and medical bills. Medical bills can wreck your finances.